Like to improve your game? Hey, Gary Peterson here from squashanalysis.com and welcome to our podcast, Squash Addict. I'd like you to do one thing for me, and that's take a look at your outcomes. It could be your shot, your power, or even your target outcomes, and ask yourself, is there a better way? Well, we're very, very confident that we've got the latest and greatest, the best methods in the world. And this very much could be one of them. So sit back, enjoy, let's get into it. Okay, today we've got something everybody's really, really interested in, and that is a game plan. Now, I see so many people, so many people, they just rock on the court and start swinging the racket. They don't come in prepared, they don't even think about it, and they just think, well, I'm feeling pretty good, I should be right today. Or I'm not feeling really well, I don't know how I'm going to go. But there's a little bit more to it than that. And what I propose is that you basically have a really good understanding of how you like to play. Now, that's an easy thing to say. In other words, not everybody's the same. So you've got to realise that there are long twitch fibre muscles and short twitch fibre muscles. And there's variants of the extremes. In other words, some people are very, very flexible. Other people are very, very strong. So if you are let's say a very flexible person or a person with the short twitch fibre muscles, then you need to make sure that you understand your areas of strength and your areas of weakness. In other words, those that are generally really flexible and fast around the court struggle to get power, as in serious power, like some of the other guys, the big guys that can just go stand there and just touch the thing and it flies, absolutely flies. So it makes a difference as to what you perceive your natural game is, and you just need to be careful of a couple of things at the same time. I know people they've gone, oh, you say to them, oh, who are you playing? You say, oh, I'm playing Simon next week. And you go, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to play him? And basically they go, oh, he does that. I'm going to change my game. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Now, I would suggest it's not the way to go at all. What you should do is always, always, always go in and play your own game. So don't go in and say, look, I'm playing Simon. He's awesome at the back of the court. I'm going to push him around the front all the time. And the reason is you don't do that is because you're electing, as soon as you walk onto the court, to play a game that you're not familiar with and to do things that you don't normally do, that basically you'll not be 100% comfortable with. And that's not the cleverest thing in the world. So what I profess is that you basically go in and you play your normal game first, the way you normally like to play. And if you're winning, just maintain that and keep that happening. It's really simple. And let the other guy have to change and do stuff different. Don't you change before you even have to. So go in first. That's the first rule of game plan. Understand your game plan, where your strengths are and your weaknesses, and go in and play your natural game. And if you can win with that, then it's all good, and just continue on, and it's all fantastic. Now, I've watched a lot of juniors play, and you see so many of them just, their game plan is to just smack the thing as hard as they can and try and get it down the back, because they've been taught the back of the court's where it's all at. Now, that's really interesting, and it causes a few problems for the kids. In that, in the effort to get the ball down the back, they're throwing their body out all the time, which makes them really erratic, and therefore the ball comes out everywhere, all over the place. A far better way for a general game plan for a child to go is to hit higher and not harder and put the ball down the back. Now, this is all pretty basic, by the way, so I'm not telling you stuff that you probably don't know, but it's always good to get or to reinforce what you already know, or hear it again, and so on. So I like kids to actually start to maintain balance when they try to hit the ball down the back and push the ball down and hit the back wall. So ask them to hit the back wall often. And this is generally for any player, not just kids as well. So if you're not hitting the back wall regularly, your depth is too short, basically. If you finish too short, it's the worst thing you can possibly do, because you can get cut up. In other words, if you land the ball in front of the service box, it's no good. But if you finish the ball too deep, it can be quite bad as well. And when I talk about too deep, I talk about a ball bouncing too close to the back wall, so therefore it's going upwards when it hits the back wall, and therefore it sits up fat. When I say sits up fat, I mean it sits very, very very far out from the side back wall, and there's lots of options for your opponent because they can really get their racket behind the ball and so on. So you need to make sure that you're hitting the ball down the back. Now, back to the game plan and with kids and with general players and even everybody, if you can get the ball down the back without hitting the ball high and maintaining balance, that's a fantastic thing. So the lower you can hit it, the better you can be, which is fantastic because the ball gets to the back obviously quicker. Now, if you go in with that plan at the start to hit the ball down the back and hit the back wall often, it's a great game plan or a base game plan to start. Your number one is to drive straight wherever possible. And then after that, when that tends to be, let's say, easily pulled apart because the kids or the players spray it too much because they're trying to hit the ball too hard and so on, the next option is to cross court and lob a lot. I'll call it lob because if I ask people to cross court and hit it high and hit it down the back, they tend to just try and smash it fast, and they end up getting picked off with volleys, and they go, all these cross courts are no good. But cross courts are fantastic because it gives you the width and it allows you to bind the ball in the back corners, whereas a straight drive will actually return the ball straight back to the back into the court, where a cross court drive will bind it in the back corner. So cross courts are fantastic, but you just need to take the pace off and lift it up, which gives you plenty of time to get in a great position at the front. So you start with number one game plan is to hit the back wall often, pitch the ball down the back, go straight, hit it as low as you can as long as you maintain balance. So once you start with that, that's pretty good. And then you go into, if you're in trouble, you start to go cross court a little bit more, and then you go from there. Now, this is all about a base game plan, an absolute base game plan. And you need to understand, as I said earlier, where your strengths and weaknesses are. So part of your base game plan becomes the fact that you must not attack in areas where you're not strong. Now, this sounds really basic and really simple once again, but I'm telling you, so many guys, they get out there and the ball comes in the backhand corner and they go, oh, the guy's out of position, if I can just get the ball here. But they fail to recognise the fact that they're not very strong in that area. And secondly, they're basically off balance. And then they're just trying to play the shot and it hits a 10 and they go, oh, I had him, if I just got that in, I had him. You go, yeah, but you lost the point. Like, it's just part of how it all works. You don't attack in areas where you're no good. There's this guy, I was actually out at a tournament, and I was just finished my match and I was cooling down, and this guy comes off the other court. And I go, oh, how are you going? And he goes, oh, it's 2-all, I'm in big trouble. He goes, I'm stuffed. I go, what are you going to do? He goes, I don't know, you got any advice? I go, it's really simple. I go, where are you strongest? He goes, middle forehand, about there. I'm pretty good in the front forehand corner as well. I go, where are you weakest? He goes, everywhere else. I go, well, here's the deal. I said, rally and put the ball in with quality and everywhere where you're not strong, and only attack. Only attack. The only place you're allowed to actually attack is in the middle forehand and front forehand corners. All the rest you're only allowed to rally. So I'm there and I'm warming down, I'm stretching down and whatever else. He goes on the court and he comes back about 10 minutes later and whatever. And I go, how'd you go? He goes, I killed him. I go, did it work? He goes, oh, that was fantastic. He goes, he just didn't have any answers. I didn't make any mistakes and the game just all went my way. It was fantastic. I said, that's pretty cool, isn't it? He goes, yeah, that's fantastic, because I didn't think I was going to win that. So there you go. So if you understand your strengths and you understand your weaknesses and you make sure that you do not, let's say, be too ambitious in what you can achieve, then you'll go from there. Now, you can work on your weaknesses in training and stuff and make them not as big a weakness. In certain areas you'll start to change to become, let's say, sort of strengths. And it comes down to making sure that other little things that you should be doing in a general game plan is never playing an attacking shot unless you have balance. So this is general game plan, if you like, because it's the shot choices. There's choices of shot that you use when you're playing where you tend to get yourself in a little bit of trouble. So you don't want to go be off balance and going for overhead cross-court nicks and stuff like that, because it just doesn't work. So you need to be a little bit mindful of just what you're capable of, and don't try and play shots, especially at the wrong time, when you think, oh, if that had just gone in, everything would have been simple. It generally won't work out for you. Every now and then it might have a bit of a win, but it just generally won't. So there you go. We've got our base game plan where we drive down the back, we hit the back wall often, we can lift the ball up and go cross court and make sure you clear the volley. That'll bind the ball in the back corners. And then we come down to the next part. Most people, they'll talk about a game plan, a general game plan. They go, put the ball down the back, come in on the volley short, you've got them. All right. Now, I'd suggest you don't want to go volley short straight away. And the reason is this. If I play you and I put the ball down the back corner and you dig it out of the back corner and I come in for the volley, by the time I'm ready to volley, I've shuffled across, I've got my racket ready, I'm coming in, I'm volleying, you're moving from the back wall, you're now moving to the tee. All your motion, all your body motion is now moving toward the front corner or the front of the court. Now I'm going to choose to go volley and straight. So I'll volley straight and I'll put the ball in for a volley drop. Now you're already moving forward, so you have momentum. So now you take 2 to 3 big steps as I cut back to the tee and try and make position. You're coming in with full body power towards the front corner. So therein lies part of the problem, because I've not taken your balance out. You've merely been in a position where you've come out of the ball all right, and then basically I've not made a wise shot selection. Now the answer to that's really simple. Put the person off balance, and that's when you identify when to go short. So generally you don't just go short as soon as you possibly can. And a lot of people make the mistake of thinking, oh, I'm supposed to push the ball down the back and then I'm supposed to go short. That's what I've got to do. But the problem is you need to identify when somebody's off balance, and then you get in there and go short. So if you can put a quality drive in, make them take the ball often before it hits the back wall because they've got no choice. That puts them off balance where they take that extra little step, then they put the ball up. That's the one you should be going short on, not the one, let's say you drive deep and it comes off the back wall. Then they drive and they come out really quick, and then you put short, and then you play a bad volley drop and they're in, and then all of a sudden, bang, you're gone. So, and a way to get around that and talk to people is to say, look, just put in a couple of drives before you go for that short volley. Don't go short volley as soon as you possibly can. At least it changes their mindset to say they have to volley straight away. And that's generally what you'll do. So the be all and end all as you get through the levels and the grades to talk about game plan and everything. The holy grail, or the highest level of game plan, is simply relentlessly keeping your opponent off balance. So I tell you this when I'm talking about basic game plan, because you need to understand where you're going to be, or what you want to achieve, or what the actual ultimate goal is. And when I talk about relentlessly keeping somebody off balance, that is that you are taking their power away. You are taking away their shot options. So if you can do that, if you keep somebody off balance, you can then control what they are capable of playing. And so you basically need to, you put the ball just behind them, or just out on their extension reach, so they're actually reaching each time they actually go for a shot, and so on. And so therefore it means that you can read their body a little bit easier, and you can take away their power and their ability to cut you up. So that's where you need to be. You don't have to hit the best shots in the world. You've only just got to keep them off balance, because then they can't do anything. And so they'll basically just give you a shot where you can actually put the ball away so easy it's just not funny. And you see the PSA guys, they just basically go bang and just do it relentlessly. The ball's always just in that awkward spot every single shot, but the guys train that hard for it that they just get really good outcomes off those difficult ones as well. And that's why watching PSA is really hard to say I'm just going to do that, because you need a fully trained body. But anyway, so basically there's our basic game plan. We're going to sit with a drive that goes down the back. We're going to try and hit the back wall often. We're going to lift the ball up and go cross court a bit to try and bind the ball in the back corner, because that'll make them play a little boast and put you in a position where you're looking really good to be able to attack on the short boast and so on. And you want to try and keep the ball out of their reach a little bit. Don't go for too many winners. All you got to do is keep them off balance. And if you can do that, don't go for your short shot as soon as you possibly can. Understand where your opponent is. Push them down the back a couple of times. Get them off balance before you go for your short shot. There's your base game plan. We'll talk a little bit more about other game plans in further episodes and everything, but I didn't want to confuse you and give you all the game plans and all the rest, because we'd be here for like 5 days. And so I just needed you to understand, identify your strengths and your weaknesses, and that goes down to understanding your opponent's strengths and weaknesses as well. So, and the last thing I'll say on all this bit is, if your opponent is, let's say, a really powerful person, really strong, and often these guys are really big, and even girls and so on, but they don't move very well. They're not really flexible, so therefore the front court's really open and available to you generally. But if you get it in their zone, then they're just super powerful and they can do anything, and you wonder how you can actually break them down and break them apart. And generally you'll have to play a few more boasts to drag them forward and stuff like that. So that comes down to understanding your opponent's strengths and weaknesses as well. So be a little bit mindful. Play your own game first. Go in playing your game. Don't change your game until you have to. So once you've lost the first game, then you go, geez, I better do something different, because otherwise I'm going to be in the same boat here. I'll be in trouble all the way through and just lose the match without doing anything different. So that's when you start to change it. Give your own game a bit of a chance, and then go from there. But hit the back wall often. Lift up cross courts. Don't go too short too early. Get your opponent off balance, then go short, and then work off the shot from there. So that's where we are. That's our base game plan. We'll go through the other game plans a lot more in detail with game plans and stuff like that, but it's such a wonderful area to understand. It's fantastic. But enjoy the game. Long rallies are fantastic. Don't think that you just have to finish the ball off and play all those awesome shots all the time. But anyway, there you go. It's great to have a good base game plan, but understand your game. So thanks for listening, and I hope you actually learned something that actually has a positive impact on your game. You know, so many times I get people come to me and go, I cannot believe that nobody else is telling me this stuff. Well, this is basic knowledge, and everybody should know everything that we teach. If you can do us a favour, and that is share this with your friends, tell others about it, and if you want to check out a little bit more about what we do and how we do it, the videos, we have over 1,600 videos online at squashanalysis.com. Anyway, thanks again.